Hi, Buffyverse and Angel fans. Today I'm here to talk about Angel Season 2, Episodes 7 and 8, which are Darla and the Shroud of Rahmon. Now, Darla is connected to the previous episode of Buffy, and if you have not seen my reaction to that, I highly recommend it because it's one of the longest videos I've ever posted about either of these shows. I low-key lost my mind, and therefore ran out of time to talk about Darla. So this is going in this video with the following episode, even though they're not connected. And I, as always, have my notes, my thoughts and feelings, so I'm going to waste no more time. Let's get into it. So for Season 2, Episode 7, Darla, this one is written and directed by the King, Tim Minear. I have grown to expect that if there are going to be flashbacks of any significance, Tim Minear is going to be at the helm, and I was not disappointed. Now, I've stated in previous videos on my Angel journey that the flashbacks annoy me. I tolerate them now because I do realize how important they are to these characters' stories. And when they're done well and they inform the characters and the present time story, I'm fine with them. Like, I've gotten used to the fuck-ass wigs and the kind of over-the-top acting and the bad accents and all of that. It's a part of it now. I'm like, okay, here we go, every time. They're here to stay, clearly, so I'm not going to get too pressed about them anymore. I will say, though, they were fantastic. Both in episode 7 of Buffy, Fool for Love, and this episode of Angel, utilized impeccably, to be honest. And I can see now why they had such a big budget on this, because so many of the scenes used for Fool for Love are used for Darla. It's just the opposite POV. They just had to shoot a little differently, but they use the same locations, right? Which was very, very smart. And I love how this ties in together. I love how you can watch both POVs. Really, really interesting concept that I think they did really well. And another thing that I have spoken about at length is my annoyance with Darla, the character. I will say, while I still don't like her in a traditional sense because she gets under my skin, I will say that the actress is phenomenal, especially in this episode. She is riding a line between complete just craziness and devastation and fragility and just erratic behavior. And she plays the flashbacks and she plays the human modern version of the character. It's a lot. It's a lot to handle. And this actress did a fantastic job. And by nature of that, I like Darla a little bit more, or at least I find her more necessary to the story. Now that I really kind of grasp how integrated, like, Darla's storyline is with Angel's, and then what happened to their relationship when he got a soul, did not fully realize how much she just went from being obsessed with him to absolutely despising even the presence of him in a room. I mean, the scene with the knife up against his throat in the China riots location, where she's like, "You reek of vermin," and everything surrounding like those scenes in this episode really, really, really painted a clear picture of like kind of how traumatizing this was for both Angel and Darla. Like, it's very complicated. I think every time this show, I feel like, oh, they're gonna go like a simple or easy route with these characters. They don't. I mean, even at the top of the episode, you have Angel clearly very distracted and upset about what's going on with Darla, the millions of drawings on the floor, Wesley pointing it out. In fact, Wesley is like the grounding presence throughout this episode, because he's constantly being like, Angel, you have got to focus. Like, this is not good. Like, Wolfram and Hart are doing this on purpose to distract you, and it's working. I never thought I'd say this. Like, I never thought I would admit that Wesley is like a key point in the story, but he is, even on an episode as like Angel, Darla focused as this one. I also love that we got to see the Master again. That's someone I never thought we would see again. In the Buffyverse, still fugly. Thought it was great that Angel made fun of him. Well deserved. And there's a scene later with Darla, unrelated to that, where she's making out with Lindsay, and both of them cannot keep Angel's name out their mouths. I'm like, you guys are actively making out and talking about Angel. Like, he haunts the narrative. Like, fascinating. Something I lost my mind over with Fool for Love on Buffy was their use of like transitioning between the present and the past, like their camera transitions and their editing. They did a little bit of that in this episode as well, which 10 out of 10, top tier. I love it when they do it. They do it so well. They did it more in Buffy, but they did it a little bit with this. And I'm like, okay, cool. Nothing's going to ever compare to Fool for Love for me. Like, that is top tier television. But this is, like, for Angel, a really good episode. I also thought it was funny that we yet again get to see the slow-mo shot of all of them walking, like Spike, Drusilla, Darla, and Angel. We've seen that shot like multiple times in Fool for Love, and then we see it multiple times in Angel. I just think it's funny. Like, they really overused that shot, and I think it's a funny bit. The one thing that really had me shook in this episode was the flashback scene of Darla wanting Angel to prove himself by eliminating an infant. And I was like pretty sure he wasn't, but there was a part of me that was like, ooh, what's gonna happen? He then saves the child and jumps out the window, but it was their dramatic use of that was very effective. I'm also not at all shocked that Darla wanted Angel to change her back. Like, no part of her wants to be human. She's clearly miserable and absolutely freaked out about dying because, as she described it, it was like big black nothing, which I was like, the empty? What's going on? So yeah, no part of that surprised me. I was like, yeah, and he's not going to. And yep, she escapes. I was like, she's not dying in this episode. There's no way. They're bringing Darla back for sure. So we will see when we see her next. But overall, solid episode. Okay, episode 8, The Shroud of Rahmon. This is more so like a standard episode of Angel, but elevated, I would say. Beginning, cold open, Wesley being interrogated, something's a little off with him before they kind of go back in time and explain the events of what happened. Really interesting. Immediately grabbed me, immediately was like, what happened? Because right at the top, I'm looking at my notes, he goes, you know, him and Cordelia would have stopped him being Angel, if they had found out sooner. Very dramatic and like scary. You're like, what happened to them? And then we see a shot of Angel vamping out and chomping someone, right? So you know right away, something crazy is gonna happen, and whatever I'm seeing right now is not what it seems, right? There's always gonna be a twist, so you never can quite guess what's about to happen. On the lighter side of things, we get a new Cordelia haircut. She looks amazing, by the way, and much like real life, the men around her did not notice right away, which any woman can tell you. That sounds about right. Now, we get into a plot that is decidedly feels less serious than the beginning may lead you to believe it is, but then it gets serious again. Angel loves to do this. It's like dramatic beginning, wait, it's kind of funny, and then it's not so funny anymore. And they do a good job with it. This one involves this like vampire named Jay Dawn that's like from Vegas and was like an original member of like the Rat Pack or something. There's like all this lore around him. I don't need to go through it, but Angel has to assume his identity, which then leads us to some incredible scenes with David Boreanaz, like in clothes you would never see Angel wear, right? With like an accent you've never seen him do or never heard him do, hamming it up, just absolutely chewing the scenery, hamming it up. I know he loved episodes like this where he didn't have to be like serious Angel all the time. And it's really fun to watch. I won't lie. We were laughing out loud. Like some of his choices, I was like, you're crazy for that. And we're so fond of you. Also, we get kind of a crazy scene between Angel and Kate. Kate is back in the fold and is trying to get involved once again. And Angel straight up threatens her. He's like, if you come between me and Darla, you won't survive. Just FYI. I was like, okay, so we're not friends. We're not allies. Nope, we're enemies. Put a pin in that one because that becomes relevant at the end of the episode. Going back a bit in my notes because I realized I didn't mention this thing specifically. When Angel goes to assume Jay Dawn's identity and approaches him like he's a super fan, I was crying laughing. Like that was so funny. And then he dusts him and like takes his glasses in the middle of the sky disintegrating. Kind of iconic, I'm not gonna lie. Like, and then he assumes his identity. perfect. Like, no notes, extremely funny. I also love this like heist thing that starts where they do the around the world shot where they're like all around the table planning the heist or whatever it is. And the camera kind of goes around and around and around. That's a very classic shot, but I love to see it when it's done well. Something that both this show and Buffy does well are like really interesting camera shots. It's never boring. Then, of course, the object thereafter is some like mystical shroud, and Cordelia finds out it's like cursed or something, and it's currently like at the museum. Anyways, like she figures it out, and as this is happening, the audience, we're watching them slowly start to act really erratic and weird. And unfortunately, this affects Angel because it starts to like make him vamp out and go against his nature, which we can't have him be doing. So I immediately was nervous. I was like, okay, well, anytime like Angelus comes out, it's over for everybody around him. And then we have Cordelia and Wesley coming in to try to stop them. They get affected by it. They're acting weird. I'm like, okay, whole house weird. Whole house acting crazy. And then we get a shot of Angel biting Kate. And I genuinely believed it. I was like, oh my God. He's munching on her. It's over for Kate. Like, what's going to happen? Greatest twist was the fact when they reveal at the end that he whispered in her ear and was like, stay down. Like, we're going to basically play dead. Go along with it so that your life is spared. He saved her life. What an interesting choice, because now she kind of owes him. So I feel like this is going to sort of shift their dynamic into one that is more of an allies-based dynamic versus an enemies one, which I would rather have. So, I mean, she saves Wesley from being arrested, so kudos to Kate for that. Maybe they're even now because of that. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to pan out in future episodes, but I like Kate as a character. So, fingers crossed that they start working together and stop threatening each other, because I'm tired of it. Please and thank you. All right, so the next few episodes I'm covering in the Buffyverse saga are Buffy, Season 5, Episode 8, Shadow, Episode 9, Listening to Fear, and Episode 10, Into the Woods. So, stay tuned.